creative living. With your host, Cheryl Borden.
Kivi, it's such a pleasure to have you here. I appreciate you taking time to talk to us about a most interesting and a most unusual book about leopardology, which, is it true that it's being used in a lot of the MBA programs across the country, the concept of leopardology?
Right, I was actually very fortunate, in fact, before the book was written, actually to have leopardology and the 6 pillars of positive predatory thinking incorporated into the MBA program and EMBA program at Kennesaw State University in Georgia, and the Cole School of Business, and actually now at Emory Guazetta School, we're starting to look at doing something there.
Well, that is interesting, but it's a good read for us laymen as well. You mentioned the pillars of positive predatory thinking, and there's 6 in the book. Let's talk about the first one.
So the first one, Cheryl, is positive predatory pillar number 1, is really a premise for the other 5. And that is to critically know who and what you are. Take inventory of your tooling, your apparatus, your equipment, identify it, and then commit
now,
to
are you
taking
talking
it into the
personally
marketplace.
or our business or what?
Your assets, what it is you have, what's at your disposal, your equipment, your infrastructure, your tooling. Identify it, take it with you. You know, leopard have massive, massive, huge canine teeth that can actually bite through 1.5 inch of tubular steel. Wow. It's a phenomenon to see in the bush, by the way, but because they are solitary hunters. So they don't have the infrastructure of the lion pride to take down and get at. You see, their meat doesn't come packaged like it does for you and I in the store.
Right.
They actually have to cut it up themselves and then put it on the grill. And, you know, they need equipment to do this. So these are assets. It also allows them to close and sign off their clients in silence. That's why in Zulu they actually are referred to as ingwe, which is hunter, but it really means silent hunter. And they use this as a methodology not to alert other predators to closing and signing their clients. So this is a key component and really an overarching idea of leopardology. You have to understand what your market offering is, and way before it's your product or your price or your distribution methodology, it's actually you. You are your market differentiator, absolutely. So that's a key component. That would be number 1. Clearly identify who and what you are.
And what do you mean by the difference between leadership and findership?
So this is also a fundamental aspect of this first pillar of positive predatory thinking. Cheryl, in the African savannah, every single morning, as that beautiful, magnificent orb hits that savannah, and you just sense and feel that tension between the hunter and the hunted, and you know that the night before a lot of drama unplayed there, you have an absolute keen understanding that there are really only 2 players in this marketplace. There are those magnificent, beautiful herds of antelope, zebra, wildebeest, impala, giraffe, moving through those herds, living in a place and space of need. Just holding on, what do I do and
Surviving.
what do I need this day not to get killed out there? How do I survive this day? What do I need? And they spend their entire day involved in process, gathering, fixing, sorting themselves out to have what they need so they don't get taken out. But then there are those magnificent, majestic predators, those lion, leopard, cheetah, hyena. Now they live in a place and space of have. They get up in the morning and say, what do I have this day that brings me one step closer to client closure? And that is about
client closure.
Client closure. What do I have that allows me to hunt clients today? They identify it, and they go out there with a result-centric thinking. And this is a key component. So leaders live in a space of result-centric thinking. Finders live in a space of process-centric thinking.
Well, you are in the diamond business, and you lived in South Africa. You were born in South Africa, and you love, it's obvious in your talking, you love the bush part of Africa. Absolutely, and the studying of these magnificent animals. But how does all of this, how did this have to do with your diamond business?
Cheryl, I was out there. You know, I came to this country 11 years ago, and with absolutely no infrastructure whatsoever, nothing. In fact, my first business cards I printed at a Kmart. For $10, I gave the machine. There was this machine in the you know, sort of lobby area of Kmart, and I walked in, put in $10, and it gave me back 100 business cards. It said Kivi International, loose diamond wholesaler with my father-in-law's telephone number on it.
And that's where you were living at the time.
And that's where I was living at the time. And that was it. I took a Yellow Pages, went to J. Jewelers, and got out there and did my thing. And Cheryl, what I share with you is that it was such an isolated, lonely, solo, solitary place.
Mm-hmm.
I had nothing but the end of my nose to rely on. And, you know...
And a family to support.
Had 4 kids. They needed a roof over their head. They needed food. And it was just incredibly tough. Mm-hmm. And what would happen was that as I sort of moved through those highways and byways of Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, in a foreign territory and topography, I don't even speak English, as you've noticed by now. You know, that what I noticed was that the scenes of that magnificent solo solitary hunter, Ingwe, that beautiful leopard, solo solitary hunter, just came back. That was me. Moving towards client closure, looking for client access, looking for methodology to keep and retain clients, you know, without big line pride infrastructure. And that is actually how leopardology evolved. Critical business thinking, gleaned from the hunting habits of the African leopard.
It's amazing, the analogy that you put in the book all the way through, having to do with business. There was one chapter, though, or a page, actually it was on page 62 of the book, and I love the subtitle. It was, "Shh, your market is talking, listen." And I do think most of us have trouble listening. We're pretty good at talking, but we don't always listen. How important is this?
Sure, that's it's actually a favorite sort of subject matter for me with leopardology. There is a phenomena known with regards feline predators, but with leopards specifically. It's known as predatory freeze. Now, if you're in the bush, and people that have gone on safari and stuff will see this, you'll sort of be watching a cat, and then all of a sudden it'll just absolutely freeze. Now, people often think that is about it being disturbed, or something has alerted it, and it's now kind of, you know, delineating. Actually, it's not. This is something they do instinctively and intrinsically and regularly, voluntarily. And it's known as predatory freeze. What it's about is actually about shutting down all other senses to just take in information.
Just focus.
With maximum capacity. Now, you know, the world we live in, we are so plugged in. Okay, we are doing 17 things at once. You know, we're writing our PhD thesis while we're listening to our iPod, while we're texting, while we're twittering, while we're just checking in with our family on Facebook, while we're simultaneously ordering a Domino's pizza. Okay. So what we do is we gather bits and pieces of information, and nothing actually laterally moves down and sinks and holds. And so what we don't have is a total relationship with any one piece of information, which does not allow us to fully deliberate and make decisive strategic decisions. Leopard do this. They just shut down, and they will just stand there in a frozen state. Their hearing is at its maximum. Their eyesight is at its maximum. Their sense of smell at its maximum. They have receptors on their coat that pick up temperature differentials, maximized at that time, and allows them to make good, critical, risk-averse decision-making opportunities right there.
So that goes along with study your competition. That's what they're doing, isn't it?
That's precisely what they're doing. And study your market territory. Positive predatory pillar number 2. Study your market territory. But get in there, feel it, touch it, smell it. You know, understand what it is.
An interesting way to look at business, and if nothing else, it made it very interesting to me to read the analogy between the African bush and the leopard. So thank you so much for being with us and sharing this information.
Thank you, Cheryl. Pleasure to be here.